Love, in its purest state, is all about connection, and therefore does not require any ego-forming obedience to separate and divide with. Must and mustn't, do's and don'ts, does not fit for very well in the attempt to hold it down. To take control through the application of dark magic is the kind of play for ownership that would constrict and restrict by projecting onto it the fear, shame, and guilt when it resists subordination. And welcome. I'm so glad that you can join me here again, sharing this beautiful mural in Belize. My name is Reverend Maria Arvanitidis. How do you do? And this is a course in metaphysical spirituality and an audio-visual version of my book named after my ministry, TheSovereignLight. And seeing that you've already been introduced to this, pages 757 and 58 out of 850. These are the excerpts that we will go through today and that we already have. On pointer number 10, what is resistance? This day of 317, lesson 277. And like always, where are you at this moment? Be here now, like Ram Dass would say. Be here now. And pay attention to your breathing. How deep can you allow yourself to breathe in a sigh of relief, or perhaps the way you would when yawning or even sneezing? That muscle, that heart, that knot of a muscle called the heart, that four-chamber configuration. Be there. Breathe through it and anchor. And from the soles of your feet and from the crown, the ethereal, just breathe it in. And in the center, congregate in this heart space and expand it out with every breath. Out and in. Excel in excellence. Very good. Where are you now? Your state of being. Feel it. Feel it all around you. And share in this abundant, beautiful, picturesque mural that I give to you, infusing it into your holographic field. Right here and now, resonating. All right, let's continue on. So whenever you're ready and you feel it, say these words out loud and opt to have your eyes closed and soak in these words for today. See what you get. My love cannot be made small by the mind to rule and control over, because it creates disability from such a dysfunction. And just breathe it in again. And out. My love cannot be made small by the mind to rule and control over, because it creates disability from such a dysfunction. And breathe it in and out. My love cannot be made small by the mind to rule and control over, because it creates disability from such a dysfunction. The heartache was in all that extra weight to carry over as the many burdens when enforcement on enslavement had to have its way. That forward-taking action is only but a half-created truth, with much resistance from its incompletion, is to desire wholeness in this way. Taking by force was the infection that led the integration, and with much resistance, no longer to be made for such an introduction. The side effects from such a blending out is all the remnants that is left from its experience. That energy is now at the forefront for the self to learn from, and how to harness it responsibly with empathy and love. The abrasive harshness focused on the physical, no longer cutting must it be and exclusive to exhaustion manifest. Rather, the only protest that remains still fighting has only in the energetics of the clearing phase exhausted. The one-sided world from being split in two and then divided even further was from such resistance and widely rippling out to form the many. Individuations. Again, 758. My love cannot be made small by the mind to rule and control over, because it creates disability from such a dysfunction. And just breathe that in. Soak in it throughout the day. And I will also create a sample for you to just go over and over it. Again, make it as simple as possible. Modify it if you will, whatever works best for you. Stay on the theme, though, for today. And I'll continue reading. The many no longer have to be in conflict with the self, and from every lesson learned, a closer connection toward the integrated oneness. What had the ego separating from itself before? Now love, and even with the resonance of resisting to the connecting frequency, it can be made as meaningful a module than before. So today, surrender by facing some of these resistances. It will require a considerable amount of trust to learn how to surrender, and with it expand on the revelations that it brings from the external reflections. So the contradictions can be many, and from the certain beliefs the self is hanging on to. Give in for just a little to the battle of its persistence today, and see what can be recognized to having been changed by it. Truly take it apart, this thing that in consistent commonality it comes to form the word, resistance. What might it take up in the many places of that one meaning and that is placed to identify this word called resistance? Well, the purpose for today is to further explore the meaning of resistance and come to recognize the many varieties that it can represent, on any emotional scale, as well as on all the levels of consciousness that self is able to feel and become changed by it. And just remember that energy is neither good nor bad, rather in how it is utilized to reinterpret. And I will leave you with today's affirmation once again, and might you find it useful. I will eventually come up with a sample, perhaps on TikTok, and bring it all together for you. Thank you so very much, and many blessings to come throughout the day. Whenever you're ready. My love cannot be made small by the mind to rule and control over, because it creates disability from such a dysfunction. My love cannot be made small by the mind to rule and control over, because it creates disability from such a dysfunction. My love cannot be made small by the mind to rule and control over, because it creates disability from such a dysfunction.